Good morning, it's Gail Marie here from Six Dimensions of Healing. So remember I asked you to write in if you had a question that you wanted answered? Well, we've received a few questions, and so here's your first one. I'm trying to keep the dream alive that I will find my spiritual soulmate. This will be my 6th year alone and still looking. It's hard to know what is divine timing or if I'm just doing everything wrong. I'm finding my purpose, but alone. So this one is about finding relationships or soulmates, but it can be applied to anything. Many people are looking for their soulmate or soul companion because every one of you, without exception, wants and needs connection. So it's a natural thing to do. But what we've found is that the thread through all of these emails of looking and wanting to find a soulmate is the acute awareness that the relationship just isn't there. The really strong awareness of what's missing in your life. Loneliness can be a really strong emotion. So what so many of you are doing is wanting something, being aware that it hasn't come yet, and then expecting it to arrive, and it's all mixed up. You've got it about face, and it's leaning in a direction that you just don't want to go. This is the path to loneliness. It's the same as working hard to build a sand sculpture on the edge of the ocean, adding so much detail and then watching the waves take it away and wondering why it just doesn't stay there. No matter how often you rebuild it on the shoreline, there will always be a tide that will wipe it out. So, which way are you leaning with your focus? Are you leaning towards building your dreams on the shoreline so that they can be washed away? Or are you building your hopes and dreams on solid, sturdy ground? You always want to know which way you're leaning on every subject because each subject is really two subjects. The abundance of something that you want or the lack of it. And when you're leaning towards the lack, then you're holding yourself apart from that very thing that you want, no matter what it is. It could be health, love, happiness, money. So we want you to become aware of which way you're leaning. Take notice of what you think, how you feel, and where your focus is. So that's 3 things. Catch what you're thinking, notice how it makes you feel, and where your focus is. Then you'll understand which way you're leaning on all subjects. Are those thoughts that you're thinking supporting you? Are you leaning in the direction of what you want? Or are you noticing or missing what you haven't got? You're either leaning in towards what you want or you're leaning out. So how do you keep leaning in if every time you think about a partner, you notice they're missing? And this happens a lot. How can you stop being counterproductive? Building with one hand and having the tide knock it down with the other? That's a really good question, isn't it? And we're going to give you an answer that you can hear. Something that's going to bridge the gap for you because we know you've been doing this for a long time now. You've wanted a partner and have done all the right things. You've thought about it, clarified what you want. In some cases you're not even fussy, but we don't recommend that. If you're going to attract somebody, then why not have it be the best relationship that you can have? We want that for you. You've leaned into this relationship in your mind and you know what you want. We now want you to get off the subject altogether. You've done the asking, the universe is responding, and it's your job now to get out of the way by leaning in. And if thinking about a relationship is going to make you lean out by feeling sad or lonely about it, not being there, then we don't want you to think about it at all. You've already done that. You don't need to do it again. You could not think about a partner ever again and have the perfect partner come into your life. And that's because you're leaning in. So how do you lean in then? That's the question, isn't it? Find a subject that's pleasing for you, something that makes you smile, occupies your time and your mind, and makes you happy. They're indicators that you're leaning in. And when you're leaning in on any subject, you're leaning in on all subjects. So what we're saying is that you can lean in on something that's easy, with work that gives you great satisfaction and it's helping you lean in on your relationship. That's what we meant earlier when we asked you if you were building your dreams on solid ground or on the shoreline. Take a subject that you love, make plans for things that make your heart sing, and as long as you're leaning in when you think about them, then you're on the right track. You're building on solid ground. So does that mean you don't ever have to think about your lover or for them to come and find you? That's exactly what we mean. Leaning in on anything is building on solid ground. Thinking about your lover that hasn't arrived yet is building on the shoreline. Does that mean you never think or talk about a relationship again? Well, you need to be the judge of that. If you're thinking of them in a way that makes you lean in, then that's fine. But if you're thinking of them in a way that makes you sad or anxious or impatient, then drop the subject. You can lean in on other subjects that are easier to maintain optimism. They're fun and exciting, so use that as your springboard to getting everything you want. Worrying about if something is going to happen or when it's going to happen doesn't make it happen quicker. It only delays the manifestation. And that's what we find with most of you. You're delaying your own manifestations by worrying about them not showing up. So when you can stop doing that, then you're leaning in and letting it in. There's nothing more for you to do. There's no more work that needs to be done about this. It's now about leaning in. So here's the formula for you. Either imagine your relationship already as you want it to be, as if it's real. You're living in it. The person you've imagined is with you in such a strong way that you can smell, hear, taste, and almost touch them. And if it feels good, then you're leaning in. If it doesn't, then choose another subject that you can lean in with. There's a loving relationship for everyone in this life. So notice whether you're leaning in or out on whatever you're thinking about. This is a really powerful tool for manifestation. And if it were us, we would take notice of whether we're leaning in or out on every subject. Thanks for joining us. And thank you for your question.